What is up, my bodyweight warriors, and welcome back to another video. Today I want to chat to you about the best weight training, weightlifting moves that is going to improve your performance when it comes to being a better bodyweight and calisthenics athlete. There's often this interpretation that when you're doing bodyweight training that you can only do bodyweight training and lifting weights is a sacrilege and shouldn't be allowed, whereas in reality I believe that you want to use the best tools that you can to achieve the goals that you have, and sometimes that does mean including a little bit of weightlifting in your workout to make sure you get the most effective training that you can do. So today I'm going to take you through my top 3 exercises that I would recommend most bodyweight athletes use in order to become better at their sport. Number 1 is the military press and the variations of it. So whether that's doing it standing with a barbell, whether that's doing it with dumbbells so you have some instability, or doing something like the Z press, which I've showcased recently in my bodyweight basics series. The reason I recommend this particular exercise is that there's a big goal in calisthenics to get the handstand push-up. This is kind of the pinnacle, or one of the pinnacles, of vertical pushing strength. The only issue with this is there is a big jump between something like the pike push-up and a full handstand push-ups, and unfortunately there's not many good progressions to scale that gap in between and still get a good amount of volume in to get a good training stimulus. So this is where the military press comes in. Because we're using a weight and we can adjust exactly to the intensity that we need to do, it allows us to get more volume in training the practice and therefore hopefully build some more strength gains. Whilst it's not going to give you the handstand push-up by just training it itself, you're going to need to train the other elements of it, such as the balance aspect, which I've covered in a completely different video, and I'll link that video about handstand push-up training down below. For the actual raw kind of accessory strength element of it, the military press is a fantastic option because it's very easy to overload progressively and build in a way that you can actually count and measure that it's going up in the right direction. As I said, my personal favorite variation of this exercise is the Z press, which is when you're sat on the floor in a pike position and pressing overhead. 1, you get some added pike compression out of it, so a little bit of core stimulation, and 2, it's going to focus more on the posterior chain muscles that are involved in the overhead press as well. So it's a great bang for your buck exercise regardless of which variation you're doing. Secondly, moving on from this, I would like to recommend the lateral raise of a dumbbell. This exercise is very commonplace when it comes to traditional kind of bodybuilding weight training. However, we don't really have any movements in traditional calisthenics that even are close to replicating this movement. The reason I recommend it is that it's a fantastic exercise for conditioning the supraspinatus. And the supraspinatus is one of the smallest rotator cuff muscles, but it's also the most frequently injured rotator cuff muscle. As I'm going to stick my hand up here, I'm all too aware of, as I did tear it in September 2017. So when it comes to the supraspinatus, it's involved with shoulder abduction, so that's lifting up your shoulder to the side, especially the first 15 degrees, but it's also a very important muscle when it comes to overhead stability. So it's going to impact things like the handstand push-up, and even the military press that I mentioned previously. So making sure this muscle is well conditioned is a pretty important thing when it comes to upper body movements in general. So this is why I recommend the lateral raise to help improve your strength, and you can target it a little bit more specifically. I'm personally a fan of doing a lateral raise with the hands in a full cam position, so this is when the thumbs are facing up, and performing it in the scapular plane. So this is not your traditional lateral raise where you keep the arms solidly side by side, but you move at more of a 30-degree angle to your body. And this is a great exercise for improving your scapular movement and also just conditioning that supraspinatus. The last exercise that I think all bodyweight and calisthenics athletes should consider is the deadlift. Now, although yes, you may not have access to a gym, and well, for you, then you're not going to be able to do this exercise. However, if you do have access to a gym, like many of us, and you're choosing to do bodyweight training, there is unfortunately a limited amount of exercise that are going to give you a good posterior chain stimulus. You have things like the natural hamstring curl and hyperextensions or variations of, but there's nothing that's really going to get in and aggressively impact the posterior chain like a deadlift will. Plus, I think the deadlift, the idea of picking heavy stuff up from the ground, is probably one of the most functional exercises, along with bicep curls, that you can actually do in everyday life. So being strong in that movement, learning how to brace your core, learning how to brace your spine and load it up is a very important habit and skill to have for everyday life, not just calisthenics, So for me, it is a must for an all-round balanced physique and can be cycled into your training to produce some good effects. I also have a kind of theory that it will somewhat help to improve your front lever because of the way you use your lats when you pull a deadlift and the loading of the traps and the scapula as well. But that's just kind of my side theory. But there you have it. That is my top 3 weighted exercises that I think you should consider as a bodyweight athlete. But ultimately, don't be too dogmatic about just sticking to bodyweight style training. If you want to get a really strong push and you want to build up your push, then maybe push-ups aren't the best option. Doing things like weighted push-ups, weighted dips are a fantastic option, adding weight in that way. Or you could just do a bench press. Things like the incline bench is actually a fantastic exercise at building your plant strength. So don't just stick to bodyweight exercises because you're a bodyweight athlete. Be the best athlete you can be using the best tools. That's just my 2 cents on this. If you have an opinion or if you have a recommendation that you think people should try out with weighted training to combine with calisthenics, why not leave a comment down below? Join the conversation and help out your fellow bodyweight athletes. While you're down there, you can also hit that thumbs up button and support the channel. You can also hit that subscribe button just over to the right hand side. Join the Bodyweight Warrior tribe. We are so close to 100,000 people, which is absolutely crazy. But that has been it for this week, guys. Have a strong week and peace.